Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Slice of Life. That's Billy Harner. My name is Keith Rad. This is episode 12, where we, as always, bring you as many smiles, jokes, laughs that we possibly can during quarantine day, whatever it may be. Bill, I wanted to let you know of something before we got started. Obviously, you mentioned it yesterday. Today is my 27th birthday, but that's not the whole point. The point is that my mother's a wonderful person. And I'll tell you this. Yesterday, I mentioned to you, and you said it back to me, that we are dying for hot dogs. So this morning, outside of my New York City apartment, my family showed up, gloves, masks, the whole nine, handed me over a bag. And in that bag, unprompted,
the best
sauerkraut, hot dogs, buns. Bill, I'd love to invite you over tonight. We're going to watch some game from 1997, and we're going to kick back with a couple of dogs.
The best. That's the best birthday gift you could ever get, and that's why moms are the best. All I did was get you some quinoa, which is in my house, so I can't even do anything for it. So
I can't believe I've been, I guess you'd say, crucified for so long with the Cyclones, because I eat quinoa. People think I'm eating slugs. All right, we'll move on to our favorite social slice. Billy, we'll start with you with a story that you kind of caught me by surprise with this one. This is pretty insane.
Yeah, so as of Sunday, more than 40 workers at a Pennsylvania manufacturing plant for Braskem America got to clock out and go home for the first time in 28 days. They had been in the facility, which is in Delaware County, which is near Philadelphia, sort of in between Wilmington and Philadelphia, where they manufacture polypropylene, which is a raw material that's needed to make N95 masks and medical gowns and other protective gear. So the factory set up a live-in rotation on a volunteer basis to help ensure the safety of the staff and make sure that they could keep the supply chain running and making sure that they could supply the manufacturers for these masks and these the PPE that everybody's clamoring for. So the crews worked 12-hour shifts. The company provided increased wages, gave them all beds and kitchen and groceries and iPads and wireless internet to make sure they didn't go crazy. Also gave everybody TVs. And they worked 12-hour shifts for 28 consecutive days to manufacture everything for our first responders and medical professionals. So the workers in Texas and West Virginia also did this, but the Pennsylvania plant was the first one to let out this weekend. And it was the first time these guys had seen the sunlight basically in almost a month. So it was great to see. And they were all excited about it. They were doing interviews afterwards and talking about how they felt like this was their duty and they knew what they were doing and knew what they signed up for. They had some families they drive bys and wave hello and things like that, but they had limited interaction. They actually consider themselves the lucky ones. One of the people that they interviewed said, because they didn't have to follow the social distancing and were able to interact with people and see their friends that they work with and things like that. So just a mind-blowing thing, unbelievable dedication to their jobs and seeing the big picture and doing it. And it sort of got me thinking, what would have happened if the Cyclones were 28 days quarantined together? I was just how many of us would have made it out alive?
I know. As you tell that story, I think everyone in their office is going, boy, I guess Janice in accounting, we probably have to fight about something for a while, you know?
Right. Everybody has a Karen in their office, and Karen would have been killed.
My favorite social slice was something I saw earlier this morning. The University of Tennessee started this, I guess you'd say, viral sensation or hashtag. And John Gruden crashed a stats class. Check this video out.
All right, folks, it is class time. I miss you guys. I miss seeing the faces.
Excuse me, Professor Morris?
Yes.
My name is John Gruden. I'm the coach of the Raiders. I just don't know, do you say data or data? Which is it?
Well,
I'm really sorry to interrupt. I'm a huge Tennessee fan. Well, I'm a little confused. I think you guys have a blessed day. Stay strong, and just know that we're counting on all you young people to lead the charge when we come out now.
I've got my spider, too, white banana.
You are a crazy lady. I wish I had you as a professor. I would have got a lot better grades.
So as I saw this today, John Gruden, and I have a couple of things to unpack here, But I see John Gruden crashing a stats class. University of Tennessee calls this the VFL class crash. They've had famous Tennessee alums who've jumped in. Leanne Morgan, a comedian, Drew Holcomb as a musician, Josh Dobbs, one of the backup quarterbacks for the Jaguars who used to play, and Peyton Manning crashed a Zoom call. He's also a Tennessee alum. Now, again, I saw John Gruden today, and John Gruden is a graduate of the University of Dayton. And we don't have any famous alums. We've got him. We've got Dan Patrick, Chuck Noll, Irma Bombeck, the guy who invented Control-Alt-Delete, Dayton alum.
That's as big as it gets, the Control-Alt-Delete guy.
And so this reminded me of the Seinfeld episode where Tim Watley switches to Judaism mainly for the jokes. I'm going, John, this offends me as a Dayton alum. Why couldn't you crash a Dayton party? But it turns out his wife went to Tennessee. So I guess all's fair in love and war, but pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was just that John Gruden's a big fan of Rocky Top, just likes to sing the song. I had seen something similar out here on Long Island, Jericho High School. Their geometry class got a special visit from Pete Alonso, who's been doing things with Cameo to raise money for his Hope for Heroes Foundation. And he was trying to, air quotes, teach kids about geometry. So it didn't go very well, but pretty cool to have Rookie of the Year and All-Star show up in your Zoom meeting for class. Makes you probably pay attention for a little bit, at least for sure.
Did the word quadrilaterals come up?
No, he's more of a launch angles guy, I think. So he probably would have been better off in a physics class.
All right, time for Chicken Parm Heroes on this Tuesday. People out in the community that have been doing great things. Billy, we go back to the state of Ohio. What'd you find?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Ohio. Like every day, we're somehow connecting back to Ohio. So we're back there again. We're going to land Midland, middle of America. That's what we do. So in Ohio, Kyle West, also known as Mailman Kyle, and in a second you'll see why that's a nickname that makes sense. So he's a postal worker just north of Cincinnati. And while out on his deliveries, he noticed that some of the senior folks along the route were going out and just to get necessities, milk, stamps, bread, that kind of stuff, and putting themselves in danger. So what Kyle decided was he was going to leave notes for every person along his route that he thought could use his help. So about 400 people total. He left notes where he volunteered his services, where he would pick up supplies for people because he's already out and about, and bring them off and drop them off at their house while he's dropping off the mail. So he left 400 messages and was contacted by 400 people asking for his help on this. So putting out cold calls as a salesman, I mean, imagine that, a 100% return rate. That's insane. So he left these messages for people, and he's been going on a daily basis to drop off the letters, drop off milk, drop off other necessary supplies, picking up prescriptions, things like that for people. And the best part of it is, he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart, which is great. But he also said that most of these people are by themselves. So the only interaction that they have during a day is with a letter carrier when they're dropping their mail off. So he uses this as an opportunity to interact with people, provide a smile, provide a conversation, and sort of help people's outlook on everything, because they're not by themselves in this social distancing. So great for Kyle. Just a great thing to do, and a great person.
Yeah, that's it's cool to see. I mean, I remember when I was younger, my mom would make me go shovel snow across the street at Mrs. So-and-so's house, and they would always try to give you money, and you say, no, I'm okay. And then every year it would snow, and then they kind of look over at your house. It's like, coming back this year? So you put out feelers to people who need some help. They're gonna come. They're gonna come right back. So that's
sure.
Cool to see. My story is from Brainerd, Minnesota, which you mentioned. Mailman Kyle, great nickname. Brainerd, Minnesota. I'm hoping that the high school nickname is the Brainerd Brainiacs. That just has to be the name of the team. Brendan, throw up this picture that I'm about to share. Campers from a local YMCA up in that Minnesota area made signs to celebrate community heroes. Avery Erickson's on the left. She's one of the campers, with the police chief, Corky McQuiston. Amazing. And then the CEO of YMCA, Shane Rifle, who's wearing a superhero costume. Third big name of the day, Corky McQuiston. Mm-hmm. Sensational name for a police chief. And I mean, the story seems so simple, kids making signs, but I just thought this picture was really cool because I'm a huge history buff, and you see all these pictures from history and what life was like. I just feel like all these moments that we capture, this little girl, when she's 80, is going to talk about this with her kids and grandkids and what life was like during coronavirus and how crazy it was. And I know it's kind of weird to step back and say it's all historical that we're living in, but I think it's kind of cool. So the people that are helping out, they have these moments to remember forever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to take like a 1,000-foot view of everything. You know, one of the photographers that comes to Cyclones games, Gordon Donovan, he lives in Manhattan, and on his Instagram account, he's been posting photos of sort of a empty New York City, empty Manhattan, going to places that are normally chock full of life and entertainment and people, from Radio City to Grand Central to wherever you could think, Times Square, and it's just empty. So it's sort of eerie to look at, but it's also sort of weirdly beautiful. So to take sort of a 1,000-foot view of this, and you know that when it's all over, to have pictures like that and have moments that are sort of snapshots of what your experience was like, is going to be something to look back on. Not necessarily fondly, but something that you'll look back on and remember what your experience was like for sure.
Definitely. And we jump now into sports. I'm going to wait on your story because I want to kind of finish on that. But we saw Taiwan last week, started to get some baseball going, and good news today out of South Korea. They will begin playing baseball on May 5th. They've been doing very well against coronavirus, South Korea. Sunday, they reported 8 new cases. Them's good numbers from what I know about mathematics. 10 clubs in South Korea met. They decided to move forward with the season. Obviously, the good news is that we get to get back to normal in a couple places, get to see some live sports. They're not going to be playing in front of fans. Joel Sherman reported that umpires will be wearing masks. Players will have their temperatures taken as they walk in and out of stadiums. And then this one was interesting. There's supposed to be rules forbidding spitting and licking fingers, which I think people normally don't quite notice when they're spitting and licking their fingers. So good luck with that one. But another step in the right direction, because at least with these 2 leagues going, we can kind of see, is the experiment working? How are things growing? As Cuomo says, do we open the valve and see an outburst? So these are kind of little experiments that hopefully gets us to join right along with them.
Yeah, it's baby steps. Obviously the disease sort of started out in Asia and has worked its way towards us and around the world. But their timetable is a little bit ahead of ours. So it's good to see things slowly coming back to life, whether it be sports or just people being able to go out on the streets and live a relatively normal life and be around people. So baby steps is for sure. I found myself watching the baseball on last weekend. They have, for the first time, their games are being streamed in English. So there was a bench clearing brawl in a game. It was like all of a sudden they get a couple of American announcers, and all of a sudden they get a little riled up. They get our fiery belly of the American baseball fan. So it was interesting to see. For my sports story, it's been something we've talked about before, and it's something that's been going on for a little bit here. But I have found myself to be highly entertained by the Players League and the MLB The Show that they're putting on Twitch and YouTube, where, just to recap, it's every team has one player representative. For the Mets, Jeff McNeil's the guy. For the Yankees, they have Tommy Kahnle. But every team has one guy, and they're playing each other. Not nightly. There's different games most nights where you play 4 games a night. They're short games. It's like 3 or 4 innings. But it's been interesting to see, not just because of video games and baseball and a fake sport kind of thing, but the interaction with the players and them showing their personalities is something that I think baseball has sorely missed. And other sports have really hit, particularly basketball has done a great job with promoting the individual. Baseball hasn't necessarily done that too much. But I'll give you some quick rundowns of my favorite thing. Amir Garrett from the Cincinnati Reds shows up in a full uniform, like full-on uniform, like he's going to play, sits and plays MLB The Show. That's spectacular. Jeff McNeil sits with his dog and yells puppy power every time he gets a hit or scores a run and gives his dog a treat. That's just another thing. Jeff McNeil and his dog, you should show up just for that. Joey Gallo, who is in first place in the league, he's like 17-3. While logging in and starting a game, he was scrolling through the setup screen. And when you're choosing the game that you're going to go into, there's you pick your favorite team, and there's different backgrounds and graphics that go along with it. So he's a Texas Ranger. His favorite team is the Texas Rangers. So on the graphics, everybody has beautiful graphics, Brendan level quality. And Elvis Andrews is smiling. He's got whoever you could think of on the Rangers smiling, great pictures. His picture shows up. It's him flailing at a pitch, looking like he's sneezing. Like, it is just a terrible photo. So he spent 5 minutes before he started playing just crushing the makers of MLB The Show. How could you choose this photo for me? And then last but not least, Blake Snell hit a absolute moonshot home run and drops his controller and ran around the bases in a slow jog like he was pimping the actual home run on behalf of pitchers everywhere, and said, "You don't like it? Don't throw it over the plate." And I just lost it. Like, these guys are just having fun and being just as competitive as they are when they're playing on the field. And it's all a video game. So it's mindless, it's entertaining, but it's a great job, I think, of the players, particularly of showcasing their personalities and making things fun. So great job. And I think it continues tonight, and they have games basically every night. So it's fun to check in. It's not overly time consuming, but just pop in every now and then and check it out on Twitch. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, props to the Players Union for helping set that up and see some players that, Amir Garrett, who seems like he's a bit fiery on the field, is hilarious. And Joey Gallo is really good in life at hitting home runs and in video games. Yeah,
Joey Gallo, he's 17-3. And coincidentally, in video game Joey Gallo, all he does is hit home runs and strike out. So it's art imitating life, I guess.
All right, Bill. Happy Tuesday. We'll see you.
Happy birthday. I'm glad you got your hot dogs, man. It's
thank you for the keto. It'll be delicious.
Yeah, when I see you again in 6 months, whatever it is.
All right, Bill. See you tomorrow.
See you later. Take care.